Hurry and run up the stairs to the top floor, then down the hall and hide in the room with no way out. It's time for Killer Date Night.
Hey yo, welcome into Killer Date Night, our first episode. My name is Kip and I am joined by my better half, Misty. How's it going?
Hey everyone. Good.
In this episode, our first episode, we're going to cover the Burger Chef murders. And if you are not familiar with that, that's good. We like that. This is one of my favorite cases. And I kind of randomly came across it because a long time ago, there's a guy named Todd McComas who was on a podcast and a show that I listened to, and he used to be a part of the Indiana State Police. He had a little bit to do with the investigation down the road because this is a cold case, you know. I actually talked to him, but he is unable to come on the show because he is in contract with some other company. So he can't do it, but that would have been really awesome to have him on. But I might be in touch with him to see if there's anybody else he knows that was involved with this case that could come on. So watch for that in Patreon. Here's where you can find all of our other stuff.
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/killerdatenight, on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch at Killer Date Night, and on Instagram at KDNPod.
So normally we're not going to play that in the beginning of every episode. It'll be at the end, but since this is our first one and you want to come find us, there you go. So back to the story. The Burger Chef murders. Now, Misty, you never heard of this one before until we watched. There's a documentary on it.
Yes, till we watched the documentary.
I love this one because it's not super popular, but it's a really good, and it's still unsolved. And it will probably remain unsolved. Most likely, the person who did it is not alive anymore. So let's start Killer Date Night. Again, so thanks for joining us. We are definitely going to take a deep dive into this unsolved crime because that's what we do. I mean, don't expect this person was born on this day at this hospital in this city 79 fucking years ago, blah, blah, blah. We're going to give some of that information. Because when I listen to a podcast like this, I don't always want to hear every single little detail. It is nice to have a background on like a life growing up of the killer or whoever or whatever it is. There is an audience for everybody. We are a medium dive podcast.
Yes.
We will get into some stuff and some stuff that we don't think is important. We're just not going to get into it. So if you don't like it, then go find one of them other ones. All right, so the Burger Chef murders. This case has lingered in the shadows of Indiana history for nearly 48 years, and it definitely deserves every minute we can give it because there was 4 young kids. They had big dreams. They were just trying to earn a paycheck, like maybe some of you today working at a place called Burger Chef, where one night they just vanished when their shift was done or close to done from a fast food restaurant in Speedway, Indiana on the night of November 17th, 1978. Police initially thought it might be a simple inside job or a joyride turned into a botched robbery or a kidnapping, and 4 brutal murders in a remote wooded field 20 miles away is what ended up happening. So there's a lot of theories on this. And some of the things we're going to go over in here, we're going to pull from some police reports a little bit, FBI files, and other things that other podcasters have unearthed. Books like Julie Young's The Burger Chef Murders in Indiana, the 2022 Investigation Discovery documentary Murders at the Burger Joint, and the 2023-2024 Australian documentary The Speedway Murders. And that is the one that we watched. And if you ask me, that is the one that is probably the most accurate. Again, Todd McComas is in that one. So is another guy named Stoney. And these guys actually worked on the case while it was a cold case. They think they know who did it. They just don't have the smoking gun. The smoking gun evidence. I just think it's going to always stay unsolved. So we're going to walk you through, some of the things that happened, the scene from when their shift began to what happened, and also law enforcement fucked up in this one pretty bad with the crime scene and stuff like that. Those are the kind of things that we are going to go through in this episode of the Burger Chef Murders. All right, so let's get started into the Burger Chef Murders. Misty, you can take it away. They're probably going to want to hear more from you than me anyway.
I agree.
Wait, I'll fucking decide. Okay, now go.
No. First, we're going to set the scene in Speedway, Indiana in 1978. Speedway was a blue-collar suburb of Indianapolis, home to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, known for fast cars and increasingly fast food. Burger Chef was a popular chain. Think burgers, fries, the Big Chef, and fun meals. This particular location at 5725 Crawfordsville Road was a typical strip mall spot, busy on Friday nights. But the year of 1978 was rough for this town. There had been a blizzard, the Jonestown Massacre, dominating headlines, a local shooting, and a string of soda can bombings linked to a guy named Brett Kimberlin. Crime felt close. Fast food workers, often teens, were trusted with cash and closing duties. That trust was shattered on November 17th.
I see what you did there. There's like 3 other episodes in that paragraph.
There is. Yep.
To be honest with you, I have never heard of the soda can bombings.
I have not either. That's an interesting one. We're going to have to look into that.
And then the other one, where is that at? The Jonestown. That's giant. If we do that one, that's like, it's possibly 3-4 episodes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For one, it's huge.
So different parts, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one, but I see what you did there. That's how we're going to start this off. All right, we're going to start out with the victims and their names. So first there was Jane Carol Freet, F-R-I-E-D-T, 20-year-old assistant manager. And next we have Daniel Danny Davis. He was just 16 years old. He was a junior at the Decatur High School. And then there's Mark Sylvester Flemons, also 16 and at the high school. And then finally there was Ruth Ellen Shelton, 17 years old. And these are all just, I mean, look at it. Other than the 20-year-old, they're all just high school kids working at your local burger joint.
Just trying to make money.
Trying to make a dollar. Because, you know, dollar make you holla.
Makes me holla.
Well, you've been scamming me then. What's all this $100 talk?
Well, I have needs.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So let's reconstruct the scene. Misty, I'll let you take that.
So we're reconstructing the night based strictly on what police know, from witness statements, timelines, the manager's account, and forensic reconstruction. The shift was normal. The restaurant closed at 11 p.m. These 4 locked the doors and began cleanup. Jane was in the manager's office, handling the cash drawers and putting the money, about $581 total, in the safe. Danny had just changed in the restroom and was bagging garbage to take out the back. Mark was at the grill in the back. Ruth was wiping tables up front. Police believe the attack likely started as someone took trash out the back door. The back door was found open later. Investigators think 2 or more perpetrators entered, probably armed, and it may have begun as a robbery. The safe was open. 2 empty currency bags and an empty roll of adhesive tape were left behind. Maybe they taped something or someone. We don't know. Over $100 in coins was still in the registers. Odd if it was just a quick grab. The victims' purses were left behind, but some jackets were missing, along with Jane's 1974 Chevrolet Vega.
An off-duty co-worker, Brian Kring, pulled into the parking lot around 12:15 a.m. He noticed the lights were still on and the back doors open, which was unusual. He went inside, found the place empty, cash drawers on the floor, and called the police. The store manager arrived and confirmed $581 was missing. Initially, Speedway police treated it as possible employee theft. The kids took the money and went joyriding in Jane's car. From what I understand, Flemons is the one, based on all the information in the documentary that we watched, that was taking the garbage out and had the door cracked and went out and got attacked. We're going to get into a whole bunch more rumors later on. Rumors, whatever you want to call it.
Speculation.
Whatever,
yeah.
That's the right word. That's why you're my better half.
I know.
I'm going to take a drink.
You just gotta let me talk more. I know things.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So the police really botched this, which we will get into more later. Before we move on, though, to the discovery of the battery.
The batteries.
Discovery of the batteries.
Use your words, Kip. Would you like me to talk?
I'll use my big boy words. Okay.
Good job.
So I see how they think it looks pretty suspicious, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so back then, you know what we should have looked up? That's why this is a medium dive. We should have looked up $581. How much is that worth today? Oh, this is in the 70s, so it's probably not a ton more, but you know, that
Enough.
could be worth what, 1,500, 2,000.
I was gonna say at
today?
least double for sure.
And now they're all just disappeared and gone. But still, you know, the people that knew these kids, it might seem a little weird because we'll get into that later. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
No, I mean, I do agree that there's an off-duty coworker that, you know, just pulls up to the Burger Chef at 12:15 in the morning. Like, why? What were you doing there?
Right. Here we will get into how catastrophically the investigation was botched by the Speedway Police Department right away. This really isn't just opinion or speculation. This comes straight from the officers themselves and the police reports, from FBI files released decades later, to investigative journalists and podcasters like those that we mentioned earlier, Behind the Murder Sheet and the documentaries and all that. Retired Speedway police officer Buddy Ellwanger, who was eventually assigned to the case, put it bluntly in multiple interviews and has been quoted across every major source on this topic or crime. "We screwed it up from the beginning," he said, and he was right. This is one of the most egregious examples of crime scene contamination and investigation tunnel vision in modern true crime history, and it directly doomed any chance of quick resolution or solid forensic evidence.
Here's exactly what happened based on official accounts and the officer's own admissions. When Brian Kring called police around 12:15 a.m. on November 18th, officers arrived to find the back door open, cash drawers pulled out and on the floor, the safe open with 2 empty currency bags, and a roll of adhesive tape nearby, but no obvious signs of a violent struggle. No open window or no broken windows, no blood visible at first glance, and only about $581 reported missing.
Hang on, I have to add in the adhesive tape sound.
Oh my
Okay,
God. Okay. I'm not sure what that was, guys, but apparently that's what tape sounds like.
That was a hairball.
Which kind of is weird is only $581 was reported missing, which is a relatively small amount for a busy Friday night. Police reports from that night reflect the initial assumption this was probably just some irresponsible teenagers who decided to steal the cash, take Jane's car for a joyride, and party. They ignored key inconsistencies right away.
What's an E-key?
Electronic key. I don't know. Some key inconsistencies they ignored. Why would the girls leave their purses behind if they were voluntarily skipping town or out just having fun? Why leave over $100 in coins still sitting in the registers if it was a planned theft?
Right? Leaving the purses behind? That would be like today. If you come to somebody's house because you haven't heard from them in a while and nothing is out of place, but they're missing and they left their phone behind, you know something's wrong.
Right.
Like for real.
Yes. These days, yes. If their phone is on the counter, you know something is...
Yep, and they're gone, something's fucking wrong.
Yes. Yes. Why was the back door propped open in a way that suggested someone had been forced out or fled? Instead of treating the restaurant as a potential abduction or robbery scene, Speedway PD, granted a small department not accustomed to major violent crimes, did almost nothing to preserve it or second guess why that is like that.
Yeah, no crime scene technicians were called in immediately. No fingerprints were dusted on the counters, the safe, the cash drawers, the doors, or the tables. No photographs were taken of the scene in its original state. None at all. No evidence was collected or bagged. No hair, no fibers, no possible blood spatter that might have been missed in the initial walkthrough. No footprints on the floor. Officers simply noted the basics in their reports and left. Then came the fatal decision. They allowed the morning crew to come in early Saturday morning and completely clean the entire restaurant, mopping the floors, wiping counters, scrubbing grills.
That's what really baffles me, is that they would even open the restaurant back up the next morning, not knowing what happened, just by speculation.
Even today, everybody's way better today, but this is what fucks an investigation. If we ever, and we will, the JonBenet Ramsey case, there was a lot of things fucked up in the beginning with, you know, a whole shitload of people coming over to the house and the police people just walking through the house.
That's tainting a crime scene. Just letting anybody in where a crime just happened is just, that's tainting with it.
Do you know what a taint is?
Well, whatever that word is. Whatever that word is. What am I trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say, but I just want to know if you know what a taint is.
Oh, what is a taint?
A taint is that little fucking piece of skin between your asshole and your vagina. It's called a taint. Or on a guy between your balls.
Am I not saying the right word?
No, you're right.
Okay, but there is another word. There is another.
Yeah, tainting. You know,
okay.
But do you know why they call it a taint?
I do not.
Because it taint quite your asshole and taint quite your balls.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
All right.
Now we all know something new, guys.
Yeah. You have learned things.
Yes.
Yeah, so they fucked up a lot of shit. Mopping the floors, wiping counters, scrubbing grills. Not only that, but the store was permitted to reopen for regular business that same day with customers walking through what should have been a sealed crime scene.
That is just crazy to me.
Yep.
But as Julie Young details in her book, and as echoed in Murders at the Burger Joint, the morning shift literally wiped away any chance of forensic evidence. By the time investigators later realized something was terribly wrong and tried to go back and reconstruct the scene from memory, it was far too late at this point. The restaurant had been sanitized, walked through by dozens of people, and any physical trace of what happened during those critical closing minutes was gone forever.
One thing I do want to look up, and maybe we'll do like an update, dig into some more information and do that deeper dive in Patreon. If you want to become an official third wheelie. I think we might get into that a little bit later in the outline, but I want to know how forensics and shit was back then. I know that they think they have found, you know, more information in the last 10 years because technology. Back then, the fingerprinting, were they walking around with the little fucking dusters?
That's what I'm wondering. Did they have that back in the 70s? Like something?
How accurate was it? Did they have... Like right now, you can take a fingerprint or type a name or facial recognition and all that shit and put it in a computer and see if there's a hit.
Right. What did they even have back then?
I think you would have to send something off and wait for it to come back and then mail something to this fucking department and then to this department and just fucking mail back and forth and forth.
I am actually researching this right now because I am kind of curious.
All right. Well, you research that a little bit. I'm going to cover the next little section. And then you can come back and tell us about the technology. That's what you're researching, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm just kind of researching how did they fingerprint in the late 70s.
All right. Jane's Vega was found abandoned about 1.5 miles south on West 15th Street and partially locked. Wasn't processed with the urgency it deserved at first. Tire marks or interior evidence that might have linked it directly to perpetrators were either overlooked or contaminated because the focus stayed on the kids stole money and ran theory for far too long. Police reports show no immediate neighborhood canvass, no urgent alerts to other agencies, and no consideration that this might be linked to the recent local crimes or drug activity in the area. The families weren't even properly notified with urgency in those first hours. It was treated like a missing persons case with low priority. As podcasters who obtained the original FBI files through FOIA requests reported on certain news channels and their own series, the biggest reason why this case has not been solved in over 40 years is because of initial errors made by first responders. They simply did not protect the crime scene. Real quick, if you're listening to this, you probably know what a FOIA request is, Freedom of Information Act. Anybody can request information. Mm-hmm. Chances are, the higher up it is, the higher up it goes, the more important it is. All your shit's going to be redacted. You're going to get the paperwork, but there's going to be fucking black lines through everything.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But anyway, FOIA.
Information.
They should, yeah. For your information, you getting redacted shit, bitch. So they just simply didn't protect the crime scene. The Speedway police who responded allowed employees to come in and clean the place. This destroyed forensic evidence, destroyed any fingerprint evidence they may have been left. The documentaries drive this home hard. The Speedway murders spend significant time unpacking how this bungling exposed a lack of protocol in a small department, while Murders at the Burger Joint interviews experts who call it a textbook case of how bias towards "it's just kids" can destroy a major investigation. And this has been KDN News. I just went with my news anchor right there in that last sentence.
It was good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So do you have some research now?
Kind of, a little bit here. So in the late 70s, fingerprinting was a labor-intensive manual process that was just beginning to transition into the digital age. Inking in cards, police typically used ink and paper to record prints. A suspect's fingers were rolled in ink and then pressed onto standard 10 print cards. Henry classification system. Most agencies use this system to categorize these cards. The system assigned numerical values to each finger based on the presence of specific patterns, loops, whorls, and arches. And then there's manual repositories. Large organizations like the FBI maintained massive physical repositories filled with millions of these paper cards. So it kind of was like you said, they take their fingerprint, put it on a card, and it gets mailed somewhere. Like it goes somewhere.
Yeah, but so I want to know, it's like, what I want to know, and we should do this. We should look into this and get it into Patreon soon, because what I want to know back then, because a lot of our true crime shit happens back then.
Yeah.
You can classify back then however you want. How do you match fingerprint to a fingerprint without having a computer program that can be like, yep, this point, this point, this point.
Right.
This point. Is it somebody's eye? Are you just like, yeah, that's pretty fucking close. That's it. Like,
right. This is close enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any more, a little bit on that?
I don't think so. No, I think that's pretty much all I could find.
Okay. This fuck up, it wasn't just a restaurant. The bodies were eventually discovered on Sunday, November 19th. Even elements at that remote Johnson County scene were mishandled. Early responding officers and vehicles reportedly drove through the field and wooded area, potentially destroying tire tracks or footprints that could have matched the Vega or the killer's vehicle, whatever they took. Something later investigators lamented in reports. There was also friction between the Speedway PD and the Indiana State Police, who eventually took over. Okay, this is a problem right here that I know is true that I don't understand. All these agencies, when it goes from police to sheriffs to the county, then to FBI, there's always some fuckery. Like, the FBI will come in and want to help, and the police will be like, this is our jurisdiction. This ain't federal yet. And then
or like the CIA comes in for something.
Well,
like,
CIA technically cannot operate in the United States.
well, okay.
Yeah, but like the FBI will show up, and then the police department in that area will be like, this is my investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the FBI will come back with some fucking stupid cockamamie. I like that word. Cockamamie reason of why this is now federal because this happened and somebody took a piss over the state line, so now it can be federal. And the back and forth. How about all you dumbasses just work together and solve the fucking shit?
Right. Why is there like a...
Why
is there a war?
It's so stupid. And it probably still happens today.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Well,
I wonder if it happens in our small town, like our city cops and our sheriff's department. Like, do they ever clash like that and be like, this is in the sheriff's jurisdiction or this is in the county jurisdiction. You're in city.
I could see
that.
Like,
could you see that? I could.
Well, I could see it, but not amongst our cops. But, like, if somebody from, like, we live in Wisconsin. So if, like, an FBI came from Green Bay or Milwaukee or Madison came up, then I could be like, see these guys, we got this. Because we don't have big shit happen here.
No.
And then when big shit happens, it's like, oh yeah, we're getting this.
Right.
Everyone, like once or twice a year, there'll be something where, oh shit, the county SWAT team is over here and like everybody's on it. You got all the fucking scanner warriors, like what's going on over there and fucking blah, blah, blah. And,
and I mean, our county is so small, we don't even have a SWAT team. Like,
well, we have some kind of SWAT team because,
I feel like they come from Green Bay.
What was it? I mean,
or
maybe.
like
That I honestly don't know. But like last fall when there was a situation over in this one avenue over near Target, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And the SWAT team was there.
I feel like that wasn't from us, though. I feel like it was another.
We gotta have a SWAT team. Fuck it, I'll be SWAT.
I will too. We'll make our own SWAT team.
First thing we're gonna do is build a killdozer. And if you don't know what a killdozer is, you will if you listen. Because there's a documentary called Tread and Marv. Oh shit, I'm gonna screw up his last name. Meyerhofer. Damn it, I can't remember. He's the guy that built the killdozer and just went and demolished the fucking town because they tried screwing him. And it is a true crime topic, and it's awesome. Not to get sidetracked,
No,
but we did.
we sure did.
Thousands of hours were logged later, but the golden window, the first 48 hours, when evidence is fresh, was squandered because of that initial tunnel vision and contamination, not only at the restaurant, but also when the bodies were found.
Mm-hmm. This botching had ripple effects that echo to this day.
Oh my God, hang on.
What?
When you started reading that, I looked a little bit ahead in the outline, and I just looked and looked away. I thought it said nipple effects.
Of course you would. That's why I'm reading this part, because I can guarantee you would have said nipple effects.
Oh, yeah, and then after the without fingerprints, it's not DNA, it's DNA.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Okay.
You ever see Zootopia?
Yes.
It's in our DNA. It's DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me what I already know, Travis. All right, go.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so without fingerprints, DNA, which back then did not exist, apparently, or photos of the original layout, investigators had to rely almost entirely on witness statements later, confessions, and physical evidence only from the bodies and the car. It forced the case to go cold faster than it should have, and as retired detectives have said in interviews for the documentaries, it's why we're still here decades later without arrests. The families have spoken publicly about the added pain of knowing that sloppy police work may have let the killers walk free. Speedway PD themselves have never disputed this. Ellwanger's quote has become infamous in every retelling. In police training today, this...
Or retelling.
Okay. That should have a hyphen in it. In police training today, this case is sometimes cited as what not to do. 4 young lives taken, and then the system that was supposed to protect justice failed them again by destroying the very clues that might have brought answers to their grieving families.
Yep, so some botchery and dumb fuckery probably screwed up this case.
For sure.
And like, we said speculation leads to certain people, and probably somebody knows who did it.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that gets me, next we're going to move into the bodies and the bodies being found and how they were found. But the one thing that gets me is either these guys were really good, guys or girls, whatever, were really good, or it was just a, hey, let's go rob this fucking place, and something happened and they just, got rid of them. Because nowadays people would be afraid to do something. There's a fucking Ring camera somewhere. There's cameras everywhere. Back then, you could kind of get away with shit. And then maybe that was just it. But to me, over $581, my opinion, even after watching everything, is this guy or two or girl or two went there and saying, I know one of these punks. We're going to go in there, steal their fucking money. And something happened and they got recognized. And they had to kill him. And they just got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my opinion. Probably should have gave it at the end. But next, we are going to jump into the bodies being found and what happened to them. And this is, it's kind of sick. But it makes me wonder, like, we hear about this shit all the time today.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to know is, was everything we hear about today always going on, but now just because of social media and news and cameras and cell phone cameras and there's fucking cameras everywhere, we just hear about it more? Is that why we hear about it more? But it's also harder to be a serial killer nowadays.
Oh, yeah, for
Way
sure.
harder.
It's a lot harder to be a Dexter, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's a couple things we're going to get into that are pretty like the Zodiac.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, now I can't think of the other one. Anyway, there's the Texarkana Moonlight Murders, which a lot of people probably haven't heard about. And I believe there's a connection between the Texarkana Moonlight Murder guy and the Zodiac. The timeline and the ages fucking all line up.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever talks about it.
No.
There's just a whole bunch of shit. Let's jump into the bodies and how they're found and where they're found. All right, so on November 19th, 1978, this is when the real horror came. A local resident, and accounts vary between a hiker, a property owner walking, a dog, or someone in the woods, found the bodies on a secluded, densely wooded area in Johnson County, about 20 miles south of the restaurant. 2 miles west of the Center Grove High School, in what was once a teen makeout spot near State Road 37 and Stones Crossing Road in White River Township. The bodies were in a field near an embankment and a gravel road. Police arrived and saw a nightmare. Ruth Shelton and Daniel Davis were lying side by side, face down, executed in the back of the head, neck, and shoulders with multiple .38 caliber gunshot wounds. Jane Freet's body was about 75 yards away, as if she had tried to run. She was chased down and stabbed twice in the chest with a hunting knife. The blade, which was about 4.5 inches long, according to the wounds, was still lodged in her body. The handle had broken off and was never found. It was later recovered during the autopsy. Mark Flemings was about 150 feet away, lying on his back near a tree. He had severe blunt force trauma to the head and shoulders. Investigators believe he was beaten with a chain or similar object. The coroner determined he died from asphyxiation. Asphyxiation?
Asphyxiation.
Yeah. Choking on his own blood. Some speculation from retired Detective Stoney Van, that's what I mentioned earlier, trying to get Stoney. If I can get Stoney, that'd be sweet.
That'd be cool. I wonder how old he is now.
Mark may have run full speed into the tree in the dark and knocked himself out and then choked. All four were still in their brown and orange Burger Chef uniforms, soaked in blood. Money and watches were still on the bodies, suggesting robbery wasn't the only motive, or the killers panicked and didn't take personal items. So here, real quick, before you jump in to the next part, is the fact that they were all still in their Burger Chef uniforms instantly tells me this wasn't teenagers, let's grab the cash and run.
No.
Because you would instantly take that shit off.
Ditch those uniforms. Instantly. You would ditch them. How they didn't realize this is just baffling me. But we're going to kind of jump into the autopsy part of it. So the autopsy confirmed the causes. Davis and Shelton, multiple .38 caliber gunshots, execution style. Freet, 2 stab wounds to the chest. Flemings, bludgeoning.
Yay, good job, bludgeoning.
Leading to internal bleeding and choking. No sexual assault. The leading police theory, still held today, it started as a robbery. The perpetrators forced the employees to cooperate, perhaps at gunpoint. They took the cash and abducted the 4 individuals in Jane's Vega to eliminate witnesses. They drove to the remote Johnson County spot, likely because one or more killers knew the area. Forrester actually later lived nearby in that area. Once there, they marched the victims into the woods. Davis and Shelton were lined up and shot first. Jane tried to flee and was chased and stabbed. Mark also ran and was beaten. One victim, possibly Mark, since he wasn't scheduled for a shift that night, or Jane, recognized the perpetrator. Maybe it was a regular customer from another Burger Chef location where Jane had worked previously. But that recognition turned a robbery into murder. Flemings covering the shift may have thrown off the plan if the killers expected only 3 people.
All right, then evidence was thin because of the mishandled restaurant scene. No usable prints or DNA. Technology wasn't there anyway. We kind of went over that. The knife blade was kept. Later, after confession, police dug up a septic tank and found .38 caliber shell casings. The Vega had been driven through the field. Tires left marks, but they were contaminated, obviously, from everything that had been going on. FBI and Indiana State Police, Indianapolis PD, and Marion County Sheriff joined a task force. made a task force. Burger Chef offered a $25,000 reward and set up a memorial fund. Thousands of hours were logged, and leads went nationwide. Again, now I'm curious. Back then, $25,000 reward from Burger Chef. I wonder what that is today.
It's got to be near like 100,000.
Yeah, probably
I would
my
think.
guess. Now we're going to jump into the possible suspects. Police sketches from a 16-year-old eyewitness who saw 2 white men in their 30s outside the restaurant before closing. One bearded, one clean-shaven with fair hair. What the fuck does that mean?
Nice hair, like nice. I think it means just like nicely combed, like slicked back or something.
Fair hair.
That's what I would guess. Like you have fair hair.
When I think of fair hair, I think of like a carny running a fucking
No, not an actual
thing.
fair.
It's all fucking greasy.
Not
Looks
like
like it's combed to the fucking pork chop.
Not like a carnival fair.
Oh.
Like
Oh.
nicely groomed hair.
Okay. Clay models were made and released publicly, and years later, one suspect resembling the bearded man shaved before a lineup. A man in a Greenwood bar bragged about the crime, snapped a pool cue, mimicking an injury, but passed a polygraph and was released. He later died by apparent suicide. An associate died of a heart attack, suspiciously.
Here's a big one. Donald Wayne Forrester. In 1984, this 34-year-old inmate in Pendleton Correctional Facility, who is currently serving the time for rape at the time, contacted Detective Mel Willsey and confessed. He lived in Speedway at the time and knew the Johnson County area. He confessed on tape to shooting Davis and Shelton. He led police directly to the exact spot in the woods, described the body positions accurately, and knew about the broken knife handle. The details were never publicized at this time. He said the motive was a drug debt. Jane's brother, James, owed money on a deal. He and 3 accomplices went to the restaurant to threaten or collect from Jane. Flemons intervened to protect her. A fight broke out. Flemons hit his head on a van bumper. They abducted everyone in the Vega to the woods and killed them to silence witnesses. Forrester said he threw the gun off a White River Bridge, which the police checked, nothing was found, and later retrieved shell casings and flushed them. Police searched his septic tank in August and found 38 caliber casings matching the type. His ex-wife confirmed the retrieved casings. He named 3 accomplices. Police believed him enough to bring him in. But in 1986, after a leak to the media, he recanted, claiming coercion. Prosecutor Stephen Goldsmith said, no charges in December 1986. The case went cold. Forrester died of cancer in prison in 2006. Many investigators still think his confession was credible because of the non-public details and accurate scene description.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, he led him directly there and seems to know some things that somebody might not. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Either that or he knows about it. Maybe he wasn't involved, but knows what happened. And
like an accomplice almost.
Yeah.
Like he knew who did it, what happened, but he didn't actually
and
do
there's
it.
some shit in there about the drug thing and owing debts and possibilities, but nobody seems to know any accurate details on this stuff. Retired Indiana State Police Sergeant Stoney Van, he was the lead investigator from 98 to 2018, so that's getting kind of current. Mm-hmm. He developed another theory, a crew of 5 men who robbed area businesses, including another burger chef that same year. Van interviewed 1 decade later. The man said, I don't know if if they were responsible and I wasn't there, but didn't deny it outright. 3 of that crew are dead. Heart attack, suicide, homicide. 2 may still be alive in Johnson County. Van has said this is the type of case he'll take to his grave.
So FBI files released via FOIA to podcasters like The Murder Sheet mention interest in a fired employee who was scheduled to work but didn't show up until right after the scene was discovered. He had recent trouble with Jane. There were also notes about 2 employees caught doing something improper behind the restaurant shortly before, possibly linked to drugs. James Freet was briefly looked at due to his drug record, but was cleared.
Recent developments from the documentaries and sources that we mentioned before, the 2022 murders at the Burger Chef joint. I got it.
Good job.
In Discovery interviews retired cops, podcasters, blah, 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 families. It recaps the botched investigation, Forrester confession, and the community impact, but adds no major breaks. In 2023 and 2024, the documentary, which is one that we watched, the filmmakers explore new angles and have been described as potentially pointing to a resolution. Reports and related 2024-2025 books like Isabel's Storms mentions revelations from former Speedway resident Tim Boyer, who came forward claiming knowledge involving a suspect named Jeff Reed, and possibly another. Details suggest claims of involvement or direct statements about the killings, including references to another person named Mary, discussing Jeff and Tim. Police have not confirmed arrests, and the case remains open and active with the Indiana State Police. They actually still ask for tips. Like, this is still open because they want to give closure, to the families. Yeah, to the families and all this stuff. There's a tip line. You can go search that out if you would like to go search that out. Police reports consistently note the lack of struggle at the restaurant, suggesting compliance at gunpoint. The remote dump site indicating local knowledge, the mixed killing methods showing panic or rage, and the fact that the killers never struck another restaurant afterwards. This is per Stony Van. No firearm, knife handle, or chain was ever recovered.
The impact. The families never got closure. Teresa Jeffries still hopes. Memorials include 4 red oak trees and a bench in Leonard Park with plaques. The original restaurant building was demolished years ago. The mishandled evidence, the recanted confession, the circumstantial leads, it all adds up to frustration. But the Indiana State Police say the file is still active. New DNA or a deathbed confession could crack it.
All right, so now we have a current update. Are any investigations any closer? They are not meaningfully closer in terms of prosecutable breakthrough. But there have been incremental developments that keep the file active. Ongoing work by Indiana State Police. From 2018 to 2023, the department has been digitizing thousands of pages of handwritten notes into searchable databases, re-examining old evidence with modern tools, and keeping the case under review. A spokesman confirmed years ago that, quote, the case won't be closed until the victims have justice, unquote. And that stance has not changed. Hope remains for advances in DNA technology, though the original crime scene contamination severely limits what can be tested.
Documentary-driven tips, 2024 to today. The 2023 to 2024 Australian documentary, The Speedway Murders, generated fresh public interest. Filmmakers Luke Rinderman and Adam Kamian uncovered and publicly presented new witness statements, most notably from Tim Boyer, a former Speedway resident who had never spoken to police before. Boyer claimed that a local man named Jeff Reed, sometimes called the mayor of the Snake Pit, due to his involvement in Indy 500, privately confessed to him that he was responsible for the murders. According to Boyer, Reed said he went into the Burger Chef after seeing Jane Freet's car, intending to collect on a debt she or her brother owed, and that things, quote, went south real quick, unquote, in a domino effect.
Wait, quote, things went south real quick.
Good job.
Okay.
I like that. Okay. Boyer also referenced another person, Mary, who allegedly discussed Reed, and a man named Tim, possibly Tim Willoughby, who has been missing since 1978, in connection with the crime. The filmmakers turned this information over to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office and Indiana State Police. Since the film's U.S. release, Rinderman has said in interviews that more people have come forward, and they continue to pass tips to authorities. However, Jeff Reed died in 2011 from stomach cancer, so he can never be questioned or tried. No charges or arrests have resulted from these leads as of 2026.
Yeah, and there's been a bunch of other recent media and books. The Burger Chef murders in 2025, the true story of the 1978 Speedway cold case, and other stuff. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Good if you can make some money on a fucking new book. Like, I could go watch a documentary and take all this information and fucking write a book about it.
Right.
The bottom line is FBI files released in recent years. One included a large cache obtained by podcasters. Have been reviewed, but they mostly reinforce existing theories rather than introduce game-changing proof. Duh. Is there any new physical evidence or forensic evidence? No significant new physical evidence has been publicly confirmed since the 2018 press conference when the Indiana State Police displayed a photo of the broken knife blade and mentioned plans to retest items like the fleece-lined denim jacket and a Burger Chef uniform shirt found near the bodies for touch DNA. I don't know how long DNA lasts and stuff like that, but...
You would think quite a while. I mean, I don't know. I mean, unless if it...
Stuff can break down.
It can, yes.
Palm print was lifted from Jane's abandoned Vega. That was examined years ago and pointed to a potential suspect, but that lead fizzled out. The .38 caliber shell casings recovered from Donald Forrester's septic tank in the 1980s remain the strongest physical link tied to any named individual, but Forrester recanted, and he's been long deceased. So that's the one. I mean, Forrester and Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two, I think. There's drug connections there.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And the fact that this guy, if I remember right, Forrester's wife or ex-wife, said that he said something about it and flushed them. Remember, he flushed the casings?
The casings. And
then they fucking found one in his septic tank?
septic tank, yeah.
I mean...
Duh. Like, does that even warrant us anything at that point?
I don't know.
I mean,
the problem is they fucked it up from the beginning. They destroyed
did.
evidence. They let them clean the fucking place.
I can't believe they even let them do that.
It's just kids.
They just read off.
Modern
Yeah,
techniques, AI for digitizing files, facial recognition on old sketches, improved DNA. I mean, all that's been applied. But the botched initial crime scene processing means there is very little usable material left from the restaurant itself.
So in short, the quote, new evidence, since 2024 is almost entirely testimonial. Witness statements and tips generated by renewed media attention rather than forensic breakthroughs. Circumstantial theories like Forrester's drug debt confession, the robbery crew theory, championed by retired detective Stoney Van, or the Reed lawyer claims continue to circulate. But without corroborating physical proof or a living suspect willing to confess under oath, prosecutors have not moved forward.
Yeah, so the bottom line as of March 2026, the case is still cold. It has not been solved. It's not forgotten. They still are actively working on it. The Indiana State Police keeps it active. The families continue to hope. Every new documentary or podcast brings in fresh tips. Retired investigators like Stoney Van have said they will take the case to their graves. And current detectives echo that the file remains.
The file remains.
I'm so special. The file remains open with the expectation that either better science or a deathbed confession could finally break it. There is still a tip line. I'm not going to give the number. You can go search it.
Yeah.
You find it yourself in case that number is fake.
It's out there. Crime Stoppers, this tip line. Indiana State Police urges anyone to call with any new information that can help in this case.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting case.
Very.
If you guys like this podcast, I would recommend going and watching the most recent documentary.
Recent.
The most recent documentary. And just know that a lot of the shit in there is real. Like I said, Todd McComas is in there. We've talked to him. Mm-hmm. I am still going to message him and try to get somebody like Stoney.
That would be cool.
That'd be fucking cool.
That
will
cool.
definitely be in Patreon.
Yes.
And we're going to give our thoughts right now. So my personal opinion is this was drug related.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe the people that did it at least knew or kind of knew one of the employees, most likely Jane, seems to be the one with drug debts or like the drugs. So most
they mentioned her brother too.
Yeah.
So they could have been
somehow in there. It kind of seems like they came because like they had gotten drugs and then didn't pay for them, but said they were going to, and then didn't. And then they showed up to collect the money.
Yep.
And they didn't have it, and they threatened them. And one of the other people working tried to be heroic.
Yep.
Something happened. Somebody got hurt, and they had to, like, destroy the fucking...
I feel like one of the young gentlemen would have been heroic in trying to stop the whole thing.
Yeah, so another thing that I kind of think... The reason that I think the people that came to the restaurant to rob it or collect on money were recognizable is because if it was somebody recognizable, like maybe somebody from a drug deal before, they show up, yeah, whatever, if they're brandishing a gun, whatever it is, there could be some fear. Obviously, there's a gun or a weapon in your face, but it's, hey, I kind of know this person, they want their fucking money, and they're threatening me, and they're going to over-threaten me, so I have to sit here and try to figure out how I'm going to pay them and what I'm going to tell them to give me a little more time. And something happened.
Yep.
I mean, the best documentary portrays that the one guy, I think it was Flemons, went out to take trash out.
Yep.
And that's when there was two guys or whatever standing out back, and they came and tried to take him. They brought him in, and the theory goes that they tried to throw one in the van because there's a big deal in the documentary about this van. And it's seen by a couple different people, and it's pretty distinct. Something almost happened accidentally to the one guy. Like, he fell, or they were trying to throw him, and he smoked his face off the bumper of the van.
Yep. Yeah, he hit his head on the bumper.
And was knocked out or killed right there.
Right. Depending where you hit, yeah.
According to the bodies and when they were found and stuff, they probably back then could have still figured out he probably wasn't killed right there. But something happened, and the people panicked.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Yep.
The other, at least this one girl, Jane, they know who we are, and they're going to report something.
Yes. They're going to recognize us, or she's going to recognize us, and yeah. So then they had to.
And if it was something with drugs, these two guys more than likely high or hopped up on something.
Yes.
And then you just panic and do what you fucking do. And,
oh, yeah. We see that kind of stuff all the time, that people are high when they're doing stuff. And that's when they get the courage to do things. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, shit. Now what do we do? And they end up doing even worse than what they initially planned to do.
Yeah, a little side story. My best friend in town, his dad was like, when this happened a couple of years ago, it was like in his early 70s. Tough old guy, old school, tough dude, Belgian. 1 o'clock in the fucking afternoon, he was at his granddaughter's house helping watch her kids, and he was out in the backyard and heard a commotion. Some young fucking dude who had just gotten out of prison was all high as fuck. He had been across the road at the neighbor's house and broke in there. He was looking for keys. Just keys to any vehicle. And then he heard the commotion in the house, went in there, and he ended up with some stitches and shit. But at fucking in his early 70s, he took out this fucking 20-year-old guy and held him down and fucking somebody called the cops. And it was just, it was awesome. It kind of reminds me of this a little bit. Like, obviously, he wasn't high or drunk or anything, but I'm just trying to point out this other guy who
just escaped.
Been in jail and prison.
Yeah. Yep.
He was out. He was on like probation and shit. Nobody was like looking for him.
Right.
But he just got so high on something, he was breaking into people's houses looking for keys, trying to find a vehicle, whatever.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, not very far from our house, and it was my best friend's dad, who was a grandpa. And that tough old man just fucking stomped a mud hole in that guy's ass and called
good.
It was
good.
Awesome. It was scary, but awesome.
Right.
But that's just what some certain drugs will do to you, man. It just will.
Yeah.
My final opinion on this is it was probably drug related.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably people that kind of knew each other, at least acquaintances.
Yep.
And something just fucking went wrong. Somebody freaked out. The way they portray it, I find it hard to believe that 4 people are going to get walked out and put in a van at gunpoint without a commotion.
Of some sort. Right.
Unless they, like I said, know or are acquaintances, or this is my drug dealer and he's taking me somewhere to try to figure out how to get fucking paid. They're not really thinking something's going to happen until they take them out to the woods. And that's when shit starts happening, and some run, and that's why they're falling so far apart. And, the people freak out. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I kind of have the same opinion on this because of what we researched and saw in the documentary. But I'm also curious as to what this off-duty coworker, Brian Kring, was doing there at this time.
Well, he showed
Like-
up because if I remember right, he showed up because like there was lights on and shit, and they were supposed to be closed.
Right, but what if you're off that day, why are you driving to your workplace at 12:15 in the morning?
Well, I don't remember what was in the outline. Maybe we should research that and we could do like an update or something. But he as young as them?
It doesn't say. It doesn't say how old he is. It just stated that an off-duty coworker pulled into the parking lot at 12:15. Yeah, he noticed the lights were still on, but what was he doing in the area at that time?
Well, probably the same thing that they were gonna do, or like it sounds, people go out and drink and get
Was
high.
he maybe going to go hang out with them afterwards? I mean, that could be to meet up with them. I don't know.
It could have
but-
been he was just driving through town and saw, why the fuck are the lights still on at my work at this time? Like
Right.
there's so many questions.
There
That's
is.
why it's
There
still
is.
fucking unsolved.
Yeah.
I honestly believe there is enough evidence. These guys have enough evidence. Maybe not, I don't want to say that. Not enough evidence, but they have some theories and they're probably right. And the people who did it are probably dead.
Yep.
They just never had that smoking gun because the police botched it so much. They fucked it up, cleaning up. I mean,
Or the person or people that have done this are rotting somewhere just laughing. Like they're never going to find us, or they're not ever going to figure it out that it was us.
I'd be willing to bet
You
they're
never
dead.
know. Never know.
Yeah, you don't.
You
but-
don't know. You don't know.
All right, so that is the Burger Chef murders. I love this case. You don't see it around a lot. We're hoping to get some more information. Maybe we can pull out an interview with somebody at some point.
That'd
But
be
if
awesome.
you want, you go check out our Patreon because we do a little bit of a deeper dive into Speedway, Indiana, and we go deeper into. It's just one episode in there where we go deeper into all of the victims, how they grew up, what was their family life like, and stuff like that. And Speedway, Indiana, and Burger Chef. It's interesting how Burger Chef was formed and what it turned into, believe it or not. How we mentioned they had what, I can't remember, fun meals. You can
Yep.
learn how that, Burger Chef actually is what turned into McDonald's.
Right. I was going to say, fun meals kind of remind me of like a Happy Meal from
Burger
McDonald's.
Chef had some influence, and then there was some competition, and that's what happened there. So we will get into the origin of Burger Chef and how that all works in a bonus episode in Patreon.
Tune into that.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate you tuning into this episode. Look up.
Look
I
up.
keep saying look up.
Look
out,
up, guys.
for our next episode. Some of the ones we have coming up, there's some that are not as popular, but they're interesting. A body being thrown into a wood chipper. We got the Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht, who was pardoned recently. We're going to dive into MK Ultra, Missing 411. I mean, we have everything coming up.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Me too. So please tune in. But in the meantime, this is where you can find us.
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/killerdatenight, on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch at Killer Date Night, and on Instagram at KDNPod.